Hey, we're talking about sleep for performance. We're moving on to our fourth lesson on sleep. Before we move on, we want to do a quick review of what we spoke about last week, most notably about sleep hygiene. Sleep hygiene is simply the habits that we have around our sleep environment, our bedroom, and our habits about going to sleep, ramping down my routine when I'm ramping down for bed and when I'm waking up the next morning. We got four different elements. We want to have a routine. Our body thrives on routine. So the more consistent we can be on a day-to-day basis with going to bed and waking up, the better. Understand that it doesn't have to be rigid. It just has to have a plan. Have a plan and be consistent. The next two kind of go together. I want my room to be as cool and as dark as possible. Okay. Light and temperature can be really stimulating on my body if it's too hot or it's too bright. So make it cool, make it dark, less than 68 degrees if possible, no light in the room. The last note is get away from our phones, iPads, TVs about 30 minutes before bed. Okay? The blue wavelength of light is very stimulating because it stops the secretion of melatonin. Melatonin helps me fall asleep, makes me drowsy, and I don't want that at night. Okay, so get away from our phones about 30 minutes before bed. Okay, so moving on to naps. We need to first understand that naps can be very powerful and positive for athletic performance and cognitive performance. We just have to have a plan. We also need to know that there's several different types of naps. The one that we're going to encourage the use of the most are what we're going to call a power nap. That is a nap about 20 minutes. Okay, no more than 30 minutes. And we want it no more than 30 minutes simply because if you remember back to understanding the stages of sleep cycle, where I go from light sleep to deep sleep to REM sleep, I want to avoid deep sleep and REM sleep because that's going to make me really, really, really drowsy, and it potentially could influence my nighttime sleep that night. The next one is an extended nap. An extended nap, you'll note here, is about 90 minutes. And we want to put it about 90 minutes because in theory, that should be one sleep cycle. So I'm going to get really drowsy, deep sleep, REM sleep, and then I should be coming out and being a little bit more awake. We don't want to usually do that before competition or training because of the likelihood that it may be drowsy when I wake up. Okay, but on times where I am going to use a little bit longer nap, let's just try to time it to about 90 minutes and let's put it early in the day as possible. And then finally, long naps. We need to keep in mind that long naps really could potentially have the possibility of impacting negatively our sleep the upcoming night. So we want to avoid long naps if possible. But if something's happened through the week and I've just not had enough sleep, or if I've really struggled sleeping and I have to have a long nap, I want to put it as early in the day as possible so it doesn't impact that night. Okay, so when I'm planning my naps, especially as it pertains to thinking about performance, one, let's pick the right time. And I've already kind of talked about that a little bit. We need to understand that naps do not replace nighttime sleep. We want long periods of sleep where we can go through multiple sleep cycles in one bout. Okay, so at night, if I can sleep 7.5 to 9 hours, that is fantastic. Then I can supplement it with a small power nap of 20 minutes sometime in the middle of the day, and I should be really in a good position. Okay, and then I'll keep addressing this. Early naps are better than late day naps simply because of the impact that it could have late night. We need to understand the impact of sleep inertia. Okay, so inertia, the concept of inertia is simply if I have an object and it's moving, it's going to have the tendency to stay moving unless we stop it. Okay, it could be from gravity or an external force, or if something is just sitting here, it's going to have the tendency to just sit there unless I knock it over here and get it going. The same thing happens with our bodies. If I get too deep into a sleep cycle, it could actually take more energy and be really difficult to get me going simply because the inertia of falling into a deep stage of sleep. That's why I want to avoid long naps because it's going to be really hard on the flip side to get up. 20 minutes are best, but if you have to go a little bit longer, put it earlier in the day and try to match up with a sleep cycle. Early naps are best. And then we think about this all the time around training, around going to class, around going to our job. Start fast. When we wake up from our nap, get around natural light, open the curtains, the blinds, get outside, find a fueling opportunity, engage in some sort of physical activity, a walk, supple line in the weight room with the strength staff, something to get the body going. Okay, light food and activity will help me get going. Okay, so now if I'm thinking about traveling, this may be something that some of our athletes or coaches or staff may encounter, and I'm going to nap. The biggest thing is we go back to have a plan. We use teamworks. Other teams may have a printed out itinerary. Ahead of time, plan out where on that itinerary it may exist. It may be listed as free time. It may just be a gap in time. But find an opportunity where you can plan your nap. Then go back to the rules that we talked about earlier. Consider the time that you're going to do it. Okay, early in the day is better. Okay, consider the impact of sleep inertia. Avoid sleeping too long. And then 3, make sure when we wake up from our nap, we're going to be hot and we can start fast. And that doesn't mean over the top. It just means I need to be getting woke up and ready to go. Okay, a lot of these neat things come from some of these references. We'll leave these here and hope everybody has a great day.